Hey. Oh, sorry, Amy. That's scary.
That was so loud.
Look, when we start a broadcast, we start a motherfucking broadcast. Okay? Hello, everyone. Sorry it said that we were starting an hour later than we normally start. That's because I made this live stream 30 minutes ago. And you know how I feel about Outlander. I try real hard to make it right. I don't. So that's why it said that. Hi, everyone. Say hello if you're in the chat. Hey, Rennie. Hey, Sheila. It's nice to see y'all. And hello to my girls. Say hi, Amy and Andy.
Hi.
Hi.
I got my Botox. You're makeup free, and I just
makeup
got my
free and thriving.
I have makeup on, but it's been there for a million hours. I got it ready at 5 a.m. And then I took a 4-hour nap this afternoon. So it's all smushed. It's all pillow smushed, you know?
I wasn't allowed to take a nap because you can't like lay down for 2 hours.
You cannot.
You don't want to mush that.
Actually, it's 4 hours.
It's 4 hours.
And you shouldn't exercise either.
Well, I skipped bar class and I didn't take a nap. I actually came home and worked. Wah, wah, wah.
I miss my Botox. I need to get it. Hey, Lindsay. Hey, Alicia. Hello, Purely. Hello. Hi, guys. I'm very happy to see all of you. I'm glad you are here. Hey, Andrea. Because, you know, we're here to talk about Outlander. And I am going to withhold. I got a couple things. One, I have a poll on Twitter asking everybody to decide whether or not what did I hate the most, just like last week, the pacing, the story, the dialogue, or Bree's postpartum body. Right now,
we're just jumping right into it.
Well, I'm not going to, those are just a couple of things I didn't like. Yes, they're important, the story.
No, I just meant like we weren't going to be like, what's she been up to? Hey, besides Botox. But that's cool.
I wanted people to go to the Twitter and
vote. Okay.
Go vote on the poll. Hey, Lachey. Lachey cannot be with us on screen tonight because her computer sucks.
But she got a new one, so next week.
Next week.
No, I got to call Lachey out. Her computer doesn't suck. Lachey's a dum-dum, and she dumped water all over her computer.
Oh. Well, that's worse. Amy and Lachey were together this week, and that makes me really sad, but also happy.
We went to Pride. We went dancing, Pride After Dark. Nice. And Lachey wore the most gorgeous blue sequin jumpsuit that I've ever seen.
I loved it.
The pictures were incredible.
Yes. And we were just bopping to like good music.
That's awesome.
And we were super exhausted and we got home like around 1 and then we had to get up at 4 because her flight was like at 6 a.m.
Oh my gosh, the worst.
But we had a great time. And if you can hang out with Lachey, I would recommend it.
One day.
Yes.
One day we're eventually going to have, you know, a whole ass cool table.
We need to have like a Comic-Con, but for cool table people.
We just need a place to be.
I'll be a Hyatt globalist, so pick somewhere with a Hyatt.
No, I'm Marriott, bitch.
No.
I'm
Are
neither.
you titanium?
Select something?
I don't know what that is. Aren't they gold, platinum, titanium?
Okay. Now I have to look.
That's right.
As long as I can. Okay. I was actually going to just ask this question. Like if any of my friends are like travel people,
Andy.
Yes. So I was thinking of, this is all just from traveling and stuff for work. That's how I get most of my points. Like I have a Southwest card that I've used. I have a bazillion points, but I don't really want to go any of the places that Southwest fly. So I'm thinking of changing my credit card situation.
Oh my God.
Should I get a Marriott Bonvoy?
No, don't do it. No.
Do I do a flight one?
You need a flexible points currency. So you're looking at, I don't even know, like the points people don't say the name of it. I don't know why, but I am not a points influencer, so I can say whatever I want. A Chase Sapphire, which will transfer to other So like if you earn Chase Ultimate Rewards points, you can
Okay.
transfer them to United, you can transfer them to Hyatt, you can transfer them. They have the most travel partners.
Oh.
What
I
about
already have a Chase Sapphire. For real?
You already have that card?
Yeah, but I don't use it for nothing.
what
Okay.
if you
I also have a City
Transfer-
Diamond Preferred.
what if you transfer a balance onto a Chase Sapphire?
No, that will not do anything for you. And I should also point out, if any of our people are like, I want to get into points, if you're not paying your bill in full every month, the points
Right.
are a wash. You are not earning anything from them. So please make sure you're paying your bills in full every month if you want to play the points game. Thanks.
Andy and I talked about this 2 or 3 years ago,
We sure did.
and it was
last
no, I think it was a
last
year. I
summer.
think it was. Was it last summer, or was it like the Comic-Con before COVID?
Could have been at the Comic-Con before COVID.
Anyway, we talked for a long time about it at brunch. She's very
And
smart.
did you make any changes, Beth, based off
No.
of your conversation?
Because COVID, I really think it was the Comic-Con before COVID. I was
yeah, I
going
think-
to, and then COVID happened.
If we were at brunch, then that was the
Yeah.
Comic-Con before COVID. So
Yeah.
So I would, but Amy, I could definitely, there's like a full-on strategy of like which cards you get and when you get them in the order. Like, because you do want some hotel cards, but mostly you want like the flexible points that you're going to earn from Chase Sapphires and Chase Inks and things like that. Or you could go membership rewards and you can go Amex, but those annual fees are higher. So it's it depends on what you do with your card.
Yeah, and how much
Like,
cheddar
and
you got on the
right, and
yeah.
and what category of spending you're putting most of your, like if you eat out, if you say I don't do much except I eat out like every meal and I'm have eat out bills, and I'd be like, get an MX Gold, that's 4x points, like you'd earn points hand over fist if you mostly just ate out. So
I eat out a ton, and
The-
I spend a lot of money at Michael's.
I'm like, where's
Michael.
the TJ Maxx card, and can I get points with it? Because that's
No.
what I spend money on.
I get,
Yes.
yeah, I need to, because I have a ton of travel getting ready to come up, like work travel starting to pick up. And I'm like lazy. I do a lot on my Southwest card because that's just expense reports that all gets paid. So I have a ton of Southwest points. Like I have a million free flights.
If you
on
travel, if you travel for work, that is like the ideal points earning situation, because I do not travel for work. So I'm mostly earning points through spend. So we
Yes.
will have a long conversation. Don't worry. I got you, girl. It's going to be great. I'm going to live vicariously through your points earning situations.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Okay.
fantastic.
I love it.
Yay.
Okay, cool.
As long as somebody uses their motherfucking points to hang out with me, I'm fine.
Beth,
Well,
I've
does
really
Southwest get
been
me to
thinking about it.
Memphis?
Huh?
Does Southwest get me to Memphis?
It
I
might.
think so. I never fly Southwest. I fucking hate it. Never.
I
like that
don't
either.
love it, but I used to have to travel to Denver a shit ton, and I could get a direct flight from Providence to Denver. And that was why I started becoming
Yeah.
the A1 through 4 bitch.
Yeah. United
On
is my
Southwest.
preferred out of Memphis, because I'm usually going to New York or DC, and that can get directs. But anywho,
I know this has been such a boring conversation for people.
10 minutes.
Lachey,
talking about
if
travel.
you've been using your Sapphire Hardcore, I have a conversation that will be had with you, girl. Don't worry. I got you too.
Okay, fun. All right. So anywho,
Back to
I don't-
Outlander.
Oh,
What is
well,
this?
okay.
about?
I'd
So
rather
I-
talk about travel points. I really would rather talk about travel points.
So, okay, I would like to start this way because I work in data. And so I went through this afternoon quickly and looked up every scene that happened this past episode. There were 11 scenes total,
Okay.
and 7 out of them, it was people talking about shit that has already happened or happened off screen or has no impact on the story at all. Can I go through these really quick?
Do
Yes, please.
Okay.
it.
Number
Fascinating.
1, Alan Christie. Is that his name? Fuck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Talking about what happened. Okay, that was all talking. Bree gives birth. Okay, that's some doing. Jamie takes the baby to see a horse. He's telling her shit about a horse. Okay. Then number 4, Claire diagnoses Mandy's heart problem. That's progressing the story forward. Then Claire is in the next scene talking about surgery she used to perform. Okay, so we didn't progress. Bree sees
Well,
Lord
wait,
John.
hang on one second though. She's talking. All right, they did stretch that out a little bit too much, but Claire telling them that she can't do open heart surgery on a baby does serve as the impetus for what follows.
Yes, but they give you an entire scene of her ruminating over it,
Yep.
even after
I
that.
mean,
How
could
they
have
did
been-
it.
Yes.
Yeah,
how
fair
they did it.
enough. Fair
Yes.
enough.
So then Bree is out in whatever town they're in. She sees Lord John Grey and Willie. They are talking to Willie about Willie. Like they talk about the person that they just saw in his parentage. Okay, that doesn't really again move the story forward. Then we have Jamie and Lord John Grey. Okay, they're talking about the war. They're talking about Willie is stubborn. Lord John Grey looks just like Lestat. It's weird and creepy. He needs some sunlight. There was some sweet talking, and then there was like angry talking, and then it was like, I will never talk to you again. Then the next scene is Bree and Jamie talking about Mickey Mouse in front of the worst fake Firefly scene I've ever seen in my life. Then the next scene is Jamie and Claire talking about a stone that he had saved for her from season 2. Then number 10, Bree and Roger, they finally go through the stones. Okay, something finally happens. Then they come back to the ridge. Jamie and Claire are talking in bed about how it sucks, like grief is horrible. And then she has some kind of weird asthma attack sex thing. I don't know what that was. And then the final scene, something happens when Dingo, and that's what I will always call him, he comes to burn down the ridge. So there was so much fucking talking.
Yeah. And too much pausing in the talking. But
Too much.
But you know, I wanted to start this episode of Hangoutlander a little differently because the Outlander Stars Instagram page highlighted a bunch of tweets of people talking about how it was the best episode ever, maybe ever. And the cinematography, the writing, the emotions, the crying, the acting, it was all wonderful. Was it? Is this how other people feel? Because I am a cynical whore who hates this show now. So I understand that like people, you anticipate that I'm going to hate it and have hateful things to say. Is there anybody that liked this episode and can look at it and be like, episode of television that I enjoyed? Andy.
I actually liked it.
Andy.
Okay, so here's why I liked it.
Let's hear it.
I liked it when you compare it to everything else from the past 3 seasons. Comparatively, I thought, okay, stuff actually happened. And I did think that there were some moments in it that I found like touching and poignant. Do you know what I mean? Like I did actually think that like I was like, oh, wait, is Sam actually acting in this episode? Like, is he more than being just pretty? Like, there were even moments in this episode, God help me, I'm sorry, guys, that I thought that Sophie wasn't that bad.
Oh, I thought she was okay in some of the scenes too.
I really was like, okay, girl, I appreciate that. I mean, her wig, I don't know what they're doing to that poor girl. Her wig is trash on fire. But I mean, like, there were a couple like moments where I was like, oh, she's pretty good in this scene.
If you mean the Firefly scene, you have had a stroke.
I think the baby scenes were.
It was the baby scenes. It was the baby scenes and especially the ones where she's talking to.
Yes, she was
Claire.
very.
I thought she was. I thought that mom Bree was quite good. Like Purely Amused was actually saying like. Sophie was the least of the problems. And Lindsay said that Sam actually cried when it was warranted. Yeah, I really, my biggest problem with this episode, and it's something that Andrea pointed out, was goddamn with this sexual assault again.
Well, that to me just like I I was like, who wrote this and who directed it? Because rotten hell. Because not only do you have to show another sexual assault, it was completely unnecessary. It's sepia toned. You're showing Malva's face while she gets raped. Like, well, this fucking, like, this poor actress. Let this man just lay on top of you so we can have like 3 seconds of him humping and pumping. And while your rapist talks about it, because the whole scene was all about like him,
All about him.
and they had given us none of that, like from the previous seasons, to where there should be some menace with him. I mean, there was like, he kind of sucked and everything, but it was just like, let me tell you this story about how my sister and I were in love.
Look at Meredith.
Ugh.
It was shot like a Dateline flashback.
Yes,
It
in
was.
sepia. Keith
Even-
Morrison is like, ooh,
Even like
Mr. Christie.
the camera as Alan's POV when he's talking to Malva and she turns back and is like, I don't love you. That was very Dateline flashback. These are not the
Yes.
actual actors, kind of, these are actors, not the real people or whatever. It was very ridiculous. In story, that is why it fell flat, because the Outlander writers don't trust the watchers to get a story from something that's fast moving, fast paced,
Yes.
that's got any kind of nuance to it whatsoever. And none of this has, they are literally just throwing shit out on the screen and letting it stick there, like one of those like froggy things you used to stick to the wall, and then letting it slowly slide down your screen to make sure that you saw it. That's what the dialogue and the pacing and the story of the show is like. We're throwing it at you and then watch it move, because otherwise you're not going to get it. You're not going to see that he's got a gun unless we focus on the gun for a minute and then move.
And have
away
Claire
from
be
it.
like,
Yes.
or you
don't-
guys might not know that they're having a sexual relationship was bad unless we show
Yes.
Malva not enjoying it.
No, or
all you
unless
had-
Claire shows that she's upset about it.
Or just like, even just have, he can continue to tell his story. She wouldn't betray you, Claire. That tells me all I need to know about who she was as a person. Or she turned around and said that she didn't love me or whatever. Like,
Yeah. They didn't trust that she would be redeemed enough for us. If they didn't show her not enjoying that her brother was fucking her,
I don't know. I don't think that the point of it was to redeem Malva in any real way. It wasn't about her at all. It was to give Claire a reason to believe that Alan kind of deserved to die, I think, and give Ian a reason to shoot him, which was also horribly shot, just very stupid. He waited until Alan had already picked up a gun in front of Claire. If he had heard all of what Alan had said, he would have shot him before he could have gotten to the gun, because Claire was in danger. He wouldn't have waited for her to wrestle it from him. That was very, very poorly done. But
and
also
like in the wide open. I guess in the book I kind of pictured like Ian kind of like hiding behind a tree or something.
100%.
Like, this was
would have
just
seen
like
him.
on the plains.
yes, on the planes, on the plane. But like, what killed me is, did the last episode not end with Jamie going after Brown?
it did.
Yeah, what happened to him? He's dead.
okay.
Did they find the body?
So imagine you're binge watching this show for some forsaken reason. You hate yourself and you're binge watching this show. And you get to episode 7 and it ends and Jamie's like coming at Brown. And then it opens with Claire in her basket months later having a chat with Alan Christie.
But also
where
telling
is the
you-
continuity of the
Yes.
story?
And she's giving you the Hallmark card of like, death teaches us that life is precious. Like, oh, really?
What the fuck happened with Brown? And also imagine a scenario, like think about like the journey that each of the characters are going on in this episode. If they needed to get Roger and Bree out with Mandy, and clearly Jamie is going on a parental little arc in this episode. He sees Willie. He has this wonderful moment with Bree with the horrible fireflies. He gets to be there for the birth of one of his, grandsires or whatever. And then he has to watch them go. So he's got all of these moments, right? And so he's doing his da thing. So imagine that this starts with Jamie violently killing Brown.
Mm.
And then either announcing to Claire what has happened and letting her know, or meeting Ian in the back of the inn and washing the blood off of him and talking about how he's protected everyone and being like, we don't have to worry about this anymore because he's gone. We got to get rid of the body, or all the things that he would have had to do for Brown, but wrapping it in the cloak of Jamie being the ultimate protector of the Ridge and the people who live at the Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Claire, who is comforted, but also she's always morally opposed to Jamie just killing people willy-nilly. So she and he maybe have some tension with that. And then when they're back at the Ridge, they're involved in Bree's pregnancy, because to be honest, as much as like the emotional beats of Bree being pregnant were interesting, why I get it. I've had babies. I know that you love your baby as soon as you have the baby and prior to that. But why they love this baby so much? You know what I mean? Like you live in the 18th century and babies die then. And why is Bree so, I would do anything for this baby? We haven't seen her pregnant. Not really. There's no emotional connection to this, the process of the pregnancy. There's nothing going on making us, it's a baby that she just had. Her mom left her to deal with the afterbirth by herself because she handed her the baby and then just walked away with Jamie so they could have a private moment instead of being like, this is messy. You got a placenta coming out. So, I mean, there's no emotional connection to this baby in this moment in time, where there could have been had they connected it to Jamie killing Brown and getting them out of that town and getting back to the Ridge and protecting, and then Claire having a confrontation with Alan Christie, Ian killing him and recognizing that maybe she shouldn't have been so harsh on Jamie killing Brown kind of willy-nilly, because occasionally people just need to die in this world.
You also could have made such a nice moment, because they deprived us of Jamie and Bree, that whole birth when Jemmy was born. They could have moved it to now. Like, yeah, Roger wouldn't have been there, but if she was still crying for Jamie, do you know what I mean? Like, Jamie had been there, then he's holding the baby with the hands that killed Brown. Like that. I mean, it all could have been very nice. Much nicer than what we got.
You can't get lost in what's happening, because very much like that Game of Thrones show, House of Dragons, I was always saying, like, when are we? Like, because, her hair in the last episode was that, bad.
Sorry, but Andrea just said, Outlander is so bad it can't convince Beth that a mom. I'm sorry.
But her giving birth, you're like, oh, this is happening now? Because you are, again, like, what time
when are we?
Yeah, I did not know she was pregnant. I didn't know she was pregnant last episode, guys. I had to ask you.
Bottom of the night. That drove Lachey to, when that happened on screen, I thought Lachey was going to
lose it.
Yeah.
The thing, Claire's hair is like here, I think, at the beginning of the episode. And then when they're burying Alan, it's like halfway down the middle of her back, and I'm like, that's a different, and it's not as gray. I was like,
she's taking her vital proteins, Beth.
Yes, her collagen peptides, but you can't really honestly gauge when anything is, because the story is so bad. It's not that we shouldn't be having to look for clues in their wigs. For instance, I mean, and Brianna's snatched a little tiny Vera, what's her name, from White Christmas waist after having a newborn. She doesn't have leaky boobs. She's not. Can you
imagine putting on all those layers?
I cannot. She should have been in a wet fucking shift with some body, stuff underneath it. Because when you give birth, the fact that she was saying she wasn't nursing like normal, I was like, you don't look like you've nursed a thing in your life. You are so buttoned up. And can you imagine putting all those hooks together when you have a baby to get to your titty? Absolutely not. Like, she doesn't look like a new mother in the least. And here's another thing that bothers me about it. Nobody ever touches this baby's skin other than Claire kisses her hand like one time. They're trying to show us all of this love for these children, but they like pat Jimmy on the head and they kiss her bonnet. What do you do more than anything in the world when you love a baby?
I look at its heels and its little fat feet and its toes and its little rolls.
If it's related to you.
I don't like babies, so
Smell it.
never
You're
mind.
kissing its face.
Yes.
You want to eat it. You are constantly in its face. You are touching that baby. You are kissing their cheeks, kissing their mouth. You're just smelling all over it. You got your face in their neck. My niece is here and I'm like, give me the baby. Like, where
And
can I
she's
touch
always
her?
in this perfect little burrito.
Yeah. And they're just like, they're going to be giving this baby away and Jimmy for the rest of time. And they aren't like obsessed with like getting it in their face. That's not love.
Well, the biggest distraction for me this episode was where are we? But you had time to put up wallpaper? Like the amount of
Where was their
money
wallpaper?
behind her in I think the bedroom.
In Claire's bedroom?
Yes, and like the sconce things or whatever that are over the windows, the amount of elaborate interior design, like people hauling, like you're rich, bitch, and then you're sitting here worried about like I was able to get a teeny garnet. Like part of what I loved about the books is it was so fucking homespun.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
you're all just kind of sitting around the same big giant room together, you know, eating cakes and
Like
and
the
making
line,
bullets and
the line that Andrea, whoever had given Amanda, I don't remember her name, had given them this quilt. And oh, isn't it beautiful? I feel like they're trying so hard to like connect them to people on the ridge and connect Bree to the life that they're living because she's about to leave it with one fucking line. And she'd been holding the quilt for a while. When did the quilt get there? Was it wrapped in an Amazon box? Because I'm pretty sure you pulled it out of a basket a while ago because it's been in your arms and you're just now showing it to Claire.
And
Everything
Claire's
about
like,
the show is dumb. Everything about the show is dumb.
Claire was like, "Oh, this is gorgeous," and I was like, "You're full of shit. You were not impressed. Like, there's no way with all your style choices that this would have been the quilt for you." You're like, "Is this Pottery Barn, Rowan County?" Like, I don't know. It was.
I just feel like they really wanted to do fan service in this one. And Diane, I don't think Diane's in the chat, but she texted me. She wanted to know if I could have 4 saving graces for this episode. And she said she had them, and I don't know what they are because again, I don't think she's in the chat.
Darn it, Diane. Come on.
Because last week I had 3 and I can't remember what the third one was. So I am going to talk about what I thought was okay, but I feel like one of those things is what I just said. They did a lot of fan service in this. So they know that people were mad about Jamie not being at the birth. Jamie's at the birth. But was Jamie at the birth?
No. I mean,
What did Jamie do at the birth?
He just stood there.
Yeah.
He had his hand on Bree's shoulder. When you give birth, is that helpful?
No. I mean, I haven't, but I can imagine no.
I
had
would
a
kill somebody who
C-section.
just had their hand on my shoulder for no
Don't
reason.
touch me.
So unless he's down there with Claire holding a foot and a knee or rubbing her back and doing something actually helpful, clamping a cord, he's not at the birth.
Yeah, I don't want him at the birth. I don't want my dad at the birth. My
But
dad.
Bree did. But Bree did. And and everybody else did. We all did because he was at a birth and he and Bree were like locking eyes. He was talking to her and giving her what she needed in order to get through the pain. This Jamie in this moment, sure, he's at the birth, but was he? Did we see his face? No. There was no locking of eyes. There was no, there was the birth wasn't, Jenny's birth was more protracted. Jenny's birth in season 1. And Bree is supposed to be our second lead. So they tried it. They tried it with this fan service. And then, of course, there's more fan service with Jamie having the moment where he sees Bree and Willie talking. And then he tells John that the memory of them being together is enough. And I will say in fan service world, that worked. I think Sam's face when he sees them together and he nods at John from afar, that communicated how happy Jamie was to see them speaking. And we did not need Jamie to tell us later that he was happy with it. It was too much spoon feeding. It was too much throwing the sticky frog onto the screen and watching it draw down.
Lachey just a minute ago, like Jamie, like they narrate everything. Like when Claire was throwing the stone out, he was like, "Oh, you're throwing it away." Like It's like he's Bob Uecker. Like he's like sitting there doing the play-by-play.
But also, that's not how married people talk to each other. If Ryan thought I was going to take $100 bill and tear it up, he'd be like, bitch, stop. What are you doing? He would be like mad at like, like there's nothing there. He would have like, don't throw it away. I mean, I don't know. Everything is so understated and yet obvious. It's like the worst of both worlds all the time.
But again, her throwing it out, I thought, well, this has to mean something, right? Like, does she like pretend to throw it out and is like, psych? Like later on, they're gonna need a stone. And Lachey was like, no, that she just fucking threw it out the window. And I was like, I hate this show.
Yeah. Like I thought so too. I thought like she's clearly symbolically telling him, I'm never gonna leave you. I'm never gonna need this.
Yes. But somebody might.
They're weirdos. Like getting back to what I did not like about, like, I'm mostly like this episode, sorry, but because whatever, but like that sex scene with, I hated it so much.
Was that even sex?
Whatever it was, what the trying to initiate whatever that was, it was gross. No, I never want to see that again. I'm like, you have an intimacy coordinator and she allowed this to go on? No, I would have watched it. I would have been like, I'm glad y'all are very comfortable. Everyone feels safe. Good. Now we're cutting this shit because it's terrible.
It was like,
it just made me uncomfortable. It was awful. She was like, dry humping is like, I was like, no. And then even I asked my mom, 72, I think the Target demo. And she was like, that was terrible. And I was like, yeah, fair enough, Mom. Fair enough.
Well, also, I get that she needs the comfort of being close to him in the moment where she just lost her family. But they're sleeping next to each other, not touching. And it seems to me like the kissing of his shoulder or whatever would have been better suited if he'd had his arm around her already giving her some kind of comfort to lean on. And then she's like, this isn't enough. I'm not feeling it. And she starts to nuzzle him. And instead of like immediately getting on top of him and looking like she's trying to hump him.
But like her pelvis was on like his knee.
Yeah, it was so awkward. It was
I
awful.
know.
And
nothing
like,
really made sense.
Doing? And this is a Kate choice. Like every time these sounds she makes, it's like this like little baby Forrest Gump. Remember when he was making fun of the guy from having sex with his mama?
Yeah.
And he came out and he's like, that's what she sounds like.
Yeah. Shirley just said, I wanted her to roll into his nook and sob.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just not, I get like what they were trying to go for. Like, that's not going to give you the comfort that you need. But he could have just been like, do you need more? Like, she could have rolled over sobs. He could have held her tight. And then
even his face is like,
yeah. He's like, what's she doing? He could have said like, do you need more? Do you need me? Or something like that. And her just continued to cry. And he'd be like, take all the time you need. I'll be right here. Like, that would have been better if they, filmed it right. But they don't film things right. They just don't. Okay, so here's what kills me about some of this. I feel like, my other saving grace. I did have another one. I thought that Willie,
first one.
I think that they did some fan service moments. Fan service with Jamie, like holding the baby, taking the baby to see the horse.
Okay.
Jamie seeing Willie and Bree together. Jamie even having a conversation with Bree where he talks about Mickey Mouse, like fan service moments. Him telling Jemmy that he's always going to be with him and all that stuff.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Does it go up your ass sideways to hear Bree and her American accent saying "da"?
Yes.
It does not work.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
It kind of works on the page, kind of like Jesus H. Roosevelt Christ works on the page, but it doesn't actually when you film it.
When you say it out loud, it's like,
it sounds so fucking stupid.
Yeah, it does. But anywho, it probably sounds dumb when I say it. But anywho, so there's that.
It does because also American people aren't meant to be like "da."
Right. So American fan service Jamie as Da Jamie moments. Okay, those were good. The other one was that Willie looks like how I think Willie is supposed to look. I think he looks a little bit like Sam. enough like Sam to make that believable. And I just think he looks like the young man he's supposed to look like. I believe him. Like, I don't believe Ian. Young Ian looks like young Ian. I don't think Roger looks like Roger, but I think that Willie looks like Willie. And I didn't even read the books with adult Willie, but he still looks like how I think adult Willie's supposed to look like.
I don't think that young Ian looks like how I pictured him from the book, but I love him. He's to me one of the best things in the show.
Yeah.
And I love John. I love John Bell. I think he is criminally underused. I mean, it's 2 episodes, but he has done nothing except be like, here, Uncle Jamie, like, I'll whatever, and then shoot someone with a gun. And like, what? Why was he not? There should have been some of him. Was he at the house at the end when they were like burning down the house? Something?
Yeah. Where was he?
Where was Ian?
I don't know where Ian was. And like, can we talk about the bugs for a second? I knew this was going to be problematic, but like, it's even more problematic. The gold thing, I was like, guys, you really fucking if you were going to drop those balls, if you were going to drop them and you made the fucking choice not to have the bugs, not to do any of that, not to do the shit with the Frenchman's gold, only to say now that you're actually doing it. No, you retconned it, guys. You can't go back. But that bothers me.
I didn't even know who he was. Sorry to this man. I was like, I guess that's Mr. Bug. I don't remember ever seeing him. I did like the scene from season 2 where they flash back and it's John giving the sapphire or whatever it is to him.
Yeah.
Because one, it reminded you of the gold thing and without being like gonk over the head a little bit, but also it was just like old Jamie when he was hot and and he was still a compelling character. So it really had nothing to do with this episode. It was more of like, oh, I remember season 2. That was really good.
Remember when his hair was dark red?
And it looked good on him. And yeah.
But yeah, that's, I don't know why we're doing the bugs and all of that now. I had an entire kind of storyboard for this episode, ways that it could have gone better, that included Wendigo. And one of the things that I think would have made it better is if we had been a little bit more in Jamie's perspective from the get-go, because we could have started with Brown, started with protective Jamie, started with Jamie and his need to protect everybody on the ridge, and moved into a happy moment, with Bree being pregnant and looking forward to baby Mandy, talking to even Jimmy about being a big brother and all of that stuff. And then moving into Alan Christie and that causing a rift or healing a rift that maybe Claire was feeling of Jamie having killed Brown, and then her being there when Alan is killed and understanding what the protection is really going to be like again. And this time she's always constantly having to be reminded what it's like to have to really protect people in this time or whatever. Bree has the baby. Everybody's happy. They find out the baby's going to die or whatever, so they're not happy anymore. Maybe they go to Wilmington or whatever. And then to kind of coalesce more in Jamie's perspective, because we see him with Lord John, let's see Jamie get actually overpowered by 3 dudes, because what was he doing?
All of a sudden it was like, here's Jamie.
I was actually, okay, again, I haven't read these books. I was actually surprised, not shocked, because this show could never shock me, but actually slightly surprised that Jamie was like in someone else's, power, underneath someone else's power in this moment. How did they get the jump on Berserker Jamie in his own home? Are you fucking kidding me? So if that is enough to be kind of like unbelievable, show it happen, because then at least then there's some action and not more talking, like there was talking between Wendigo and Claire. And then when they have muscled in, whatever's happened, it's action. And Jamie gets muscled into where Claire and Wendigo are. She just looks at him and says, he wants stones. He wants stones and we don't have them. Because that's all we needed to know. We didn't need to know everything Wendigo was talking about with Claire. You know what I mean? Yeah. It just would have given it more kinetic energy instead of it being so slow. And Claire creepily coming back into the house and be like, the door was open, but I don't see anybody. Gonna keep going. Where's Jamie?
Or maybe Jamie is winning until Wendigo comes in dragging Claire. And then that's when Jamie would stop.
Right.
Like, oh shit, my wife. Yeah.
Right. And where was the tussle? How did Claire not hear this tussle? 3 men and Jamie? Are you fucking kidding me? How did that happen? So I mean, the entire show is just so slow moving and so incorrectly balanced between what's happening and what the actual purpose of what's happening is, that you get, just like Amy was talking about, so much exposition, so much talking at us, and then so much showing us and letting it drip down this page that it just doesn't work. And it's not that period pieces with wide sweeping moments that they want to like slow down don't work, but they only do when you have on the underpinning of what's happening. Like 2005 Pride and Prejudice, you can have Joe Wright can have Elizabeth Bennet on a cliff by herself in the Lake District with the most beautiful music playing behind it, and have this gorgeous drone shot of, it's not a drone back then, but like this gorgeous like wide shot that her coat is billowing around her in an absolute like storm, because that's where she is emotionally. And that's where she is positionally. And we don't have to be told that Elizabeth is like battling this secret that she has about Mr. Darcy, and the fact that her sister and her best friend are gone from her and she's alone in this moment. She's alone in this moment on a cliff with her coat giving her all of this chaos. The coat is her emotions. The cliff is her life. We don't have to be told. So why the fuck can't Outlander show Claire doing a thing that gives us the story of what's going on in Claire's life at that moment without giving us the story of what's going on in Claire's life in the moment? It's awful. It's awful. It's so boring. Ryan sat down to eat with me when I was watching it, and he has not watched. Blurtlander has not watched since mid-season 1, right? And he was like, who are these people? What's going on? And he's like, and Bree is what? Who is this bitch? And he was like, Beth, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. And I was like, yeah, I know. And we're talking about somebody who has no emotional connection to it whatsoever. All he knows is Jamie and Claire from season 1. And he was like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. And he's not wrong. It's so boring. It's just boring.
It was still one of the best episodes since but you know,
I think last week was better.
You thought last week was better than this week?
Yeah.
I don't.
Can I what book does the ridge burn down in?
6.
What book is that?
A Breath of Stone and Ashes.
Okay.
The one right after Fiery Cross, the silver one.
Yeah. I'm trying to like, so they're kind of all over the place then at this point.
There's no rhyme or reason to what's going on. No.
Yeah.
And I thought they went back when Mandy was a bit older. Is that not how it happens?
No, she's a baby.
She's a newborn?
She's not quite a newborn. I think she's a couple months old.
Okay. Heidi just said, okay. She agrees with you, Andy, that she thought this was the best this show has been since season 1 in terms of being true to the characters. Okay. Character-wise, it was not wrong. All right. I will agree that Claire is Claire. She's also very much book Claire in that she's like, it
annoying.
Was you, Alan. Like, like she's like, it was you the whole time. And she has no care for the fact that like he's got to, she's just very Claire.
Yeah.
And even just like talking about the surgery and all, like she's just very Claire. I think Bree was very Bree. I think Jamie was very Jamie. And I think Roger is the worst. So he was, of course, himself. Lord John even, he was basically just shot down Bree talking about what she was going to talk about. Although he said the phrases like I'm not really his father and he's not really the Earl of Ellesmere or whatever several times out loud on the street in Wilmington. And I think that if you were going to be circumspect about the fact that he doesn't want anybody to know that, you would not use the language out loud. But of course it's Outlander and they have to put everything on the screen and let it drown. So like, he had to say it even though he shouldn't have said it. But I do think the characters were the characters, but there's still no backbone of how a story should be told that makes any sense. It's just exposition vignettes. that don't fit together.
Rennie hates Roger, and I think that the chemistry between him and Bree in this episode was so bad. It was
Their
so
chemistry
bad.
is always bad. I feel
It's-
like they've had like legitimate, they don't like each other in real life.
I think that's probably true. They
But
cannot
also
hide.
the writing was so stilted. I was like, no one like it was just so fucking cheesy.
Like Roger is fighting with her about whether or not they should, who's going to go back and how they're going to go back and whether or not the baby is going to go back, and she's not saying anything. And then she goes, just stay here, I'll just take her. And he's like, no, we're a family, we're all going to go. You were just saying you're not sure they're going to go. What is it? Why is her, arguing with you or giving you like one solution? Now it's over. Now you don't have to talk about it anymore. That is just not just bad writing. That's just not the way people interact, unless they're like weird narcissists and they just have to win. And that is kind of Roger. So, okay. Okay. But, Rennie, just ever since the beginning of their relationship, he disgusted me. Yes, the same. Same. But like God can wait. Now he's perfectly assured that all four of them are going through. No more discussion. No more round table about gems or whether or not Ocracoke is more powerful. And let's just discuss how Ocracoke looked for just a second, because it looked like a high school play that looked like some styrofoam stones sticking up out of some ground that is 100% not going to be stable at high tide. So how in the world have those stones been standing for as long as they have? You got to be kidding me.
And just like you're trusting that it's going to happen because Jimmy says that Mandy can hear it.
She told me that she can hear it. And they're like,
because in the books, what did they bring a stone up to her and she would get all like, they could tell it bothered her? I can't remember.
No, not that it bothered her. She liked it a lot. So she kept grabbing it. You can't do that. They didn't even have a real baby most of the time. That was a doll.
Yeah. But, and I think it was the same baby. I think it was the same, Lizzie had the same baby. But anyway.
Did she?
I think it was the same baby.
But Lizzie with her thruple?
Yeah.
I like seeing them.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess. But again, you're living for gifts.
I know.
You're living for gifts of
right.
Lizzie standing there with the twins and the baby and smiling, and Jamie's. It's not a show. That's not storytelling. There's nothing compelling about that. It's the gift moment. It's dumb. It's boring. What were we even saying? I was saying something about Roger. I don't remember what it was.
Oh, slag him off some more. It's okay. He just was boring.
Couldn't he hear her in Bree's uterus? I think you're thinking about Edward Cullen. Edward Cullen could hear Renesmee in Bella's uterus. If Jimmy could hear in the uterus, I'm interested to see.
But
if
like they're
Stephanie Meyer got that from her.
They're standing there, even their own canon of what they've talked about in terms of the agony of it. They're all just kind of standing around, and the stones aren't bothering anybody. They're not feeling tortured. They're just like,
like Jimmy should be dying. If a little bitty stone gives him like, I can hear that, the bees or whatever.
The bees.
Jimmy should be like, sensory overload. I also didn't like that they were all having separate moments with one another at the stones, because that's not how people interact. Like, you have group moments.
It's like, here, come over here.
Yeah. It's Claire and Roger's time. It's Claire and Jimmy's time. It's, Jamie and Jimmy's time. Like, everybody's got their own separate moment and everybody else just walks away for it. People talk over one another. You have this, and if you can't film that and figure out how to write it, get out of the writer's room, go do something else with your life. Just go. Nothing is frenetic. Nothing, it has any kind of like movement energy on this show. It is all incredibly, incredibly slow and unpaced, badly paced.
Yes.
Exactly. How is Claire so close to those stones that she felt nothing? I feel like she should have been like scared to be as close to them as she was, but I too would have thought that they wouldn't have worked because it looked like styrofoam. And nothing
like, this isn't real.
Nothing in America would be that out in the open like that. Stones like a circle like that, like Ocracoke's supposed to be like an island, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the other thing. It's kind of like, well, here we got here now. We just took the ferry over.
Yeah. What boat, my friends? And Bree wearing so many clothes. when
Yeah.
she's supposed to be a nursing mother. It just kills me.
And the way she kind of just held the baby, like, you're getting ready to be traveling. You've been through them. Like, you're not gonna like strap that kid
Strap
onto
that
you,
kid.
or
They all should have had papoose. Like when they were like, she's with her granda or whatever. I honestly expected him to have her like wrapped up around him, like, wrapped in. He's just carrying her in a blanket. That's the most uncomfortable way to carry a newborn. Nobody does that.
No.
You do it for 5 seconds when you're going from one place to another, and then
You're
you
either
do
like
something
up
else.
this, like you're up
Yes.
here, or
Or you have them strapped to you.
yes.
Or you
swaddled
football.
in
Jamie would
me,
like
or-
football carry a newborn too. Like what? Nobody's doing this. Their head over here. Your arm gets so tired so fast. Your shoulder starts to hurt. Your shoulder blade starts to hurt. It's dumb.
Yeah.
Also, nobody touching that baby killed me. I just couldn't handle it. This is just not accurate. And Katrina has a newborn. How are you not getting in that baby's face? COVID?
Oh, is that what was happening? Because there was some like outfits on her. I was like, is she pregnant here?
I don't think I think she was pregnant last season.
Okay.
She's a new mom in this one, but yeah. Alicia just said their travel never makes sense. They think Wilmington's a hop, skip, and a jump from the ridge because they always go back and forth like it's right up the road. There's no sense of scale. No sense of scale. Like the fact that they were talking about Ferguson, Marsley being gone because they're in New Bern. I'm like, well, they're in North Carolina. They can't be that far. But clearly it's very far.
Yes.
So yeah. But Sam is afraid of kids, and that's why the gym hug is so awkward. Sam has a kid. No, Sam does not have a kid. No, he does not.
He and his partner haven't adopted one yet.
When they were trying to go the first time, they tied themselves together, and this time they're just holding hands. Who ties? Oh, Bree and Roger go through and try to. Got it. But yeah, there's just I don't know. Ashley just said the lack of urgency or frenetic energy is going to be real interesting when it comes to upcoming battle scenes. The problem is that shouldn't be the only time you get any kind of frenetic energy is in battle. Like there should be frenetic energy when they're freaking out. The birth should be frenetic, and instead it's quiet and very like stayed. Yes, and like that kind of energy, like a family. Imagine what you're like with your family. Just 5 people that are your immediate family and you're cooking dinner. Is it quiet? Is one person talking at a time?
It feels very quiet and empty.
Yes.
The Ridge, this big giant mansion. There's
Constantly.
I don't feel like the people of the Ridge that he is there to protect even exist.
Was this COVID concerns like that? I am wondering about that. Like the people are like, oh, like the battle scenes. I'm like, I wouldn't be expecting too much from these battle scenes. I don't think they got like a whole hell of a lot of extras. Like, was it COVID?
I mean, I feel like no. It was far more less restricted for this season than it was for the previous one. Claire seemed muted in her goodbye to Bree. This one, Claire walks in and a guy lights a match at her kitchen table and she's basically unfazed. Everything is so subdued. So subdued.
I do kind of get like a subdued goodbye because I've been to that stage of a goodbye where you just want to get it over with. Like the more that you prolong it, the worse it kind of is. Like can we just stop talking about it? I want to leave, or I just,
And
like
they just had a long trip to get there and all that.
Yes. They could have just, you have the long ass Jamie and speaking of corny dialogue that was just stupid, like with her, Bree and Da talking, it was just like, I'm your daughter. Like it was just, and then like I went to Mickey Mouse every year.
I know,
from
Boston
in the 60s.
California.
Fuck
yeah.
No,
she did not.
No.
Did anybody believe that? Also, I was dying that like we've all talked about how bad the fireflies were, but clearly they had firefly lights in those bushes because they would in the same exact spot. And I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. That this is the best they could do with fireflies. They couldn't CGI some fireflies because fireflies don't exist in that great a number all at once. Has anybody ever seen that many fireflies at once in one place?
No.
No.
All lit up like that?
Even like here on the island, and especially with like climate change, we have like wind issues. We don't really have fireflies up here. But like growing up in South Carolina, spending tons of times at my grandma's house in North Carolina, yeah, there's definitely fireflies. So if you're going to go all in on fireflies, again, like you're out, it's summertime. They're out in summer. You are all there, got as many clothes on as you possibly can. There's no
Always.
other bugs. There's no other sweatiness. There's nobody slapping anything.
Mm-hmm.
Bullshit.
Mm-hmm. And fireflies just don't light up like that. Like, it's just not how they operate.
You'll see it, and then like 50 yards away, you'll be like, there it is. You know, it's
I mean, I've been in essentially what I would consider like a swarm of fireflies, like the most I've ever seen, and it was probably 50 to 100 at once, but only 4 or 5 of them were lighting up at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not, they aren't like that. They're not fucking fairies.
They treated them like they were carrier pigeons, you know.
Oh,
it was just
man,
like,
it was dumb. It's embarrassing that they did that there were actual lights in those bushes.
mhm.
It's embarrassing. And then I'm sure some of them were CGI or whatever. And like the one he caught, I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot that he caught a fucking firefly in his hand. His hands are as red like a flashlight. Has anybody on this show ever caught a firefly?
I must have totally been looking at my phone when that happened.
He catches one. And it
Like he
lights
has
up
a
his
mag
hand.
light in there. Like
Exactly.
it's glowing.
It's glowing red. And he's like, boop, and it's still lit up. And then it flies away. And when it flies away, guess what? It's lit up. As if fireflies are lit perpetually.
The whole time. I laughed so hard.
I
When he caught the firefly, first of all, he was so awkward when he got up to go catch it. And I was like, no, like just no. Oh, God. It wasn't great.
It is.
Sorry, it's my cat.
That's
Oh,
cute.
that's
little
fine.
tail.
Baby.
They're just, I get that people are like in their fields about Michael the rat, giant rat or whatever. And they think that's just the greatest thing that Jamie could ever say. And I'm just getting stuck on the fact that there's no way Brie has ever been to Disneyland. Six Flags at most, Coney Island, you know?
Yeah, she went to New Hampshire back in the
Mhm.
day. Like that's where all the cheesy Boston oh my God, what do you call them? Amusement parks were.
Yeah.
She totally could have
we went
gone
to
to like
Santa's Village.
Coney Island. Coney
Yeah.
Island. Fine.
I think she's even talked about Coney Island before. I feel like they've
Yeah.
talked about it at some point. But like, no way did she go to Disneyland every summer.
And she talked like it's the most magical place on earth.
It felt like a ad for Disney.
Yeah.
Well, especially when they showed the old footage from OG Disneyland. My mom thought it was a commercial.
Yeah,
She was
that's what
like,
it
there's
looks
a
like.
Disney commercial on. And I was like, no, Mom, this is
It also
is the
has
episode.
a very conservative bent. Like Ian talks about, like says this thing about like the baby
Deserve to live.
deserve to live. And I was like, what is this pro-life propaganda I'm
That's
watching?
Diana shit, man.
I
You know,
know.
I
yes,
could
it is.
And then the conversation that Jamie has with Brianna, and he's like, is America worth losing? Like, is it worth all the life that's going to be lost? And she says, it'll be close. It's close to being worth it. Like finding you was great or whatever. But
Oh,
America,
yes.
America is almost the same. So what? America is worth all the life
Yeah.
that's going to be lost. And just, you know,
She
worth her
had
coming to-
she had a great life in the 60s and 50s when she came back. Everything about it looked splendid. Her and her best friend, who is black. Yeah, they had a great time.
Yeah.
America's worth it.
As they're sitting there on the ridge and they're having all of this fancy, fabulous stuff. Like I've been to some old places. I've been to Mount Vernon, Monticello, like all of the fancy shit. Do you know how they afforded that shit? Free labor.
Slavery.
Yes, enslaving people. So this idea that the ridge is this fabulous self-sustaining thing in the South, everyone's getting rich, and yet they're all white and everyone is, it's almost like a communist system or whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's just like, it's all worth it. And I'm just like, for fucking who?
It's very much fantasy television.
Yes.
And I can't even, if it's already got this much of like a conservative bent now, when they get into the war, it's going to get so much worse.
Right.
So, boo.
Mm.
I tried
We'll be
really
here
hard,
ripping it
guys.
apart.
Wait, didn't you have 4? What were your other 2?
No, I tried to get.
She tried to get 4. She
Oh, there was some sexual tension between Jamie and Lord John, which I found.
But then why? Okay, so that scene was confounding to me because I was like, did I miss something? Because all of a sudden they were like, yeah, okay, let's have some whiskey. And then all of a sudden it was like, fuck you, fucker. You'll never hear from me again. And I'm just like, what?
That's what dudes do. Dude.
Because
I mean, I want to fight when I drink scotch, but not. He just kind of went close to it. He didn't even drink it.
Because they have a hard time deciding whether or not they can or want to remind us that Lord John is in love with Jamie, or that he's even gay, and that Jamie is aware of it, without making Jamie look uncomfortable. They have such a hard time just letting them be the close brothers in arms and friends that they are, because it's like they're afraid to let the gay man be the straight hero's good friend and let them embrace or whatever they would normally do to like show their own like platonic affection. And so what comes off is that Jamie is like standoffish to the point of being like afraid to admit his own feelings for Lord John. That's what actually comes across on screen, because they're so afraid to actually do anything blocking wise that just makes them look like friends, and let them have ease with one another. It's almost like if they have ease, then people are going to forget Lord John's in love with him, which is, who cares? Like, Lord John doesn't sit around pining for him all the time. Like, he's out like having sex with dudes and stuff, and like having relationships and stuff. It's been years, it's been 20 years. He's fine.
Right.
And like, he might still love him, but he's not like losing it or anything. And he's not going to like jump his bones. So, but it's like they can't let that relationship just like slide into normalcy, because I think there's probably some homophobia underneath it all or whatever.
Yeah.
But Jamie comes off as like Sam, the way Sam is playing Jamie and the way it's written too. It's not just Sam's fault, is that he is almost disgusted by John.
He almost has this like, he's just always waiting for John to like reach out and try to like touch his face or something.
He's so standoffish with him, way more than he is with other men. And it just comes off as like either he is disgusted by his homosexuality or he's fighting it himself, and he has to keep his distance. And they can't decide which way to go with that, because they won't write it correctly.
So Emily said that the Lord John Grey books are better. And I think it's because there's a overarching point to each one of them.
Well, he's
Lord
also
John,
in relationships with other people.
Yeah, but Lord John has a mystery to solve, and that's what he's doing the whole book. And it just focuses on him doing that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what's Lord John doing? Solving that mystery. That's it.
Yeah.
Sucking dick and solving mysteries. That's
so good.
What is going to be the name of my autobiography.
What a great life that would be.
It would be great.
Lord John and Jamie do have a conversation about ceasing their relationship because they're on opposite sides, but it's a book thing, but it was much more civil. I totally forgot that Jamie had anything to do with Sons of Liberty, which again, I didn't watch season 6. So
wait, is it
my
Sons
bad.
of Liberty? What do they call themselves?
The Sons of
Liberty,
Liberty.
isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah,
do
Sons
they?
of Liberty.
I don't fucking remember.
Well, Jamie wasn't really one of the Sons of Liberty, but Myrta was. So Myrta was one of the Sons of Liberty. So by helping Myrta, Jamie was like throwing in his lot with the Sons of Liberty, which.
And Jamie's and Lord John's like, this is treason.
Yeah, Lord John was like, those guys are bad, and Jamie was like, yeah, I get it, but no, I don't care.
And I feel like Jamie's did he tell Lord John like, I'm never going to take up arms for the British again after what happened to Myrta? Is that what he says?
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, I don't think that conversation it was fine. It's just you got to remember a lot about what happened last season, and I don't remember any of that. So. And Myrta was season 5. That was a long ass time ago.
That was season 5? Didn't even remember.
Well, I saw it, so it's got to be.
I guess it was season 5.
Dumb.
Dumb.
I'm gonna do like a super cut of Hangoutlander over the past like 4 years, and it's just me going
Shut up.
dumb,
Fuck you. Dumb. Hate you.
dumb,
Rotten
Yeah.
hell.
stupid.
Gay. Suck dick. There's her hat.
Oh my gosh. So, the Scottish prisoner is so needed for the context between Jamie and Lord John's relationship.
100% should have been included in season 3.
What was missing, honestly, other than like
Nothing.
long conversations?
No, they went on a mystery. They went on mystery and did mystery activities together.
When he was in jail?
When he was at Hellwater.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why
it
was he
cool.
why was it called the Scottish prisoner then?
Because he was the Scottish
Because he's
prisoner.
still a prisoner when he was at Hellwater. He's a prisoner. He's just serving out a sentence at Hellwater, being the groom. He wasn't allowed to leave. Jimmy wasn't just there for shits
is that
and
where the
gigs.
Scottish prisoner is?
Yes.
That is this Hellwater time?
Yes, it's during Hellwater time. There's some really like good moment. There was like some good like jerk off moment. I don't know. It's good.
Thank you,
Oh
Mary.
God.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I really like that.
You know who would be great in that hot
He was
tub
on
with them?
parole.
I
Right.
thought he was still a prisoner though. He was at hell. He couldn't leave Hellwater.
Okay,
Let's just
what
put
were
it
you-
that way.
I don't know.
were
Meredith
you
is
saying?
taking the bar. She might know.
She knows better than me. I don't know.
I was gonna
shit.
make a really bad Shay Diaz joke. 'Cause it's talking
No.
about two friends sitting in a hot tub.
Were you going to say
Shady
who
ass.
was going to be in the hot tub with them? You thought it was going to be Shay Diaz?
I was like, and then like you look to the other side, it's like Jamie. Then you pan over, and it's Lord John Gray, and then you go over one more, and it's Shay Diaz.
Oh man.
Oh my God, I hate Jay Diaz.
Ugh.
I might hate them more than anyone else in this show. And I love Sara Ramirez. But Che
Okay.
Diaz.
I won't say it.
Okay. I was waiting for it.
Sada.
Tell me
The
later.
Shenandoah stones. Why did I write that down? Did somebody say Shenandoah in this episode?
Oh,
know.
Shenandoah. How's that go, Andy?
Oh, Shenandoah, I long to see you. Away, your rolling river. That one.
Yes.
We should sing every week.
Oh my God, let's do it.
Okay. Purely said he had to serve out his years there instead of sitting in prison. I
So
didn't
is
know
that
that
parole or is that just?
I don't know.
it's a little probationary period. It's like
It's when you go to the halfway house in
Mhm.
Hellwater.
it's ankle bracelet time.
Yes. Is it
Oh,
Rennie?
did you-
Is that how you say their
Rennie,
name?
Did you,
Rennie.
sing the Oh, there's
That's
first of
what
all,
we
there's
sang
so
in
many
we
versions.
sang it at Clemson too. We did it in my in college choir also.
So cute.
PTSD. I love that arrangement. Is it the right arrangement though? There are so many arrangements of that song. There's one that I did that I like dream about.
I would have to
That's
hear
so
the
good.
alto line to know. But I
Well,
can
there-
go
it's-
on to.
It's all
Okay, yes. Alicia says, "Will Andy sing the Skyboat song?" Go.
I'm not doing it right now.
Oh, you don't do it on the spot?
No. No,
Rennie is currently at Swarthmore.
Mm-hmm.
I go
Look
to
at you,
Swarthmore. It's the
nerd. I
bad
love
choir
it.
director. Oh, you have a bad choir director. That's as a choir director, Rennie. I am sorry. That is terrible.
That is awful.
That's terrible.
What do you sing, Rennie? Are you an alto?
Soprano too.
Wait,
she's
she's
an
asked you
alto.
2 questions.
I know. Sorry.
Well, we're on a delay. We're on a delay.
Are you a mezzo?
Are you mezzo?
Are you a mezzo? Let's talk about how much Beth really hates Ted Lasso.
I don't hate Ted Lasso. I just don't have like a I don't have a strong connection to it. I feel like people are really into it and I can dismiss it really easily. I can watch it and enjoy it, but I also just I don't care.
I think people who are really into it and love it just put total blinders on for the things about it that were just not great. Like they were almost like la 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 la. Now I liked it. I watched it. Some episodes made me weep this past season,
I haven't watched most of this season. I only watched the first couple episodes.
especially like with Nick Mohammed playing the violin and his mommy and daddy issues. But I feel like it kind of crossed the line into being like kind of cute and earnest and sort of realistic for a very unrealistic scenario to very Emily in Paris. Like everything is over the top. There's no, when it gets to be that point, there's like no stakes anymore. You're just like waiting for everyone to have their fabulous happy ending. And you're
Yeah.
never like worried.
Yeah.
Like when I was watching the end of Succession, like I hated every one of those people, but also I loved all of them.
I was so stressed.
I was so fucking stressed.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Don't ruin it. Yeah, don't ruin it for Andy. But I truly feel like the earnestness of Ted Lasso is lost on me. I just don't enjoy it. Reminds, and also because a lot of people from my former like religious life are very into it, and they're toxic positivity people, and
Yes.
so it turns me off of everything about it, because I'm like, if toxic positivity people are enjoying this, then it's missing a cynical edge that I need to enjoy things. I need people. And my brother like said something. He was like, we normally agree about this, but like, are you, this is reminding me of what people say about Superman not being a good character because he's
Too
so
powerful?
good. He's so good. Like he never had, he doesn't have anything like wrong with him or whatever. He's not, an asshole. And I was like, no, it's not about Ted Lasso, the character, being good. Because I actually think he's wrong. I think like leaving your family to go do this was the wrong thing to do, period. I just don't think that's smart. So it's not about that. It's about that there's not enough cynicism in the world. And I just don't connect with that. I feel like people need to have
well, that's why the first season was good
edge.
because there was like oh my gosh, Rebecca. Like once Rebecca became good, all of the stakes in the like were kind of just gone.
And even Roy and Jamie, like there's a cynical edge to it. And even in like season 2, I guess, when what's his name became kind of the villain and he was like doing things behind the scenes, and I was like, okay, kind of. But then like as they start to forgive him, like Ted just totally forgiving him, and like I was like, who?
Yes.
Like I can't stand when people just allow themselves to be walked over like that and don't have a cynical edge to protect themselves and other people. So that's why I don't really like Ted Lasso.
I get it.
Anyway,
I liked it.
Alicia wanted to know if we're watching And Just Like That season 2.
Yeah,
I'm going to, but I haven't started yet.
I would have watched it by now if we weren't watching this shit.
Up. And I would be happy to bitch about that horrible show with you. We, the gal that's the tennis pro that stayed with us for the summer, she was like, "Are you watching that?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "How is it?" I'm like, "Oh, it's terrible." And I was just like eating it up.
I don't know, man. I loved Aiden so much. Such an Aiden girl when I was watching Sex and the City. Such an Aiden girl.
I'm watching now to basically enjoy my hate for Miranda. Miranda.
Mm-hmm.
And also I really fucking hate Miranda. And I hate what they've done to her character.
That's all Cynthia Nixon, baby. She asked them to do that.
Fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But I think I just don't like Cynthia Nixon. I do not like her in what's the other dumb show they filmed down the street from me?
Oh my God.
Golden Age.
Gilded Age.
Gilded Age.
I love that show. I'm sorry. It's so bad. I love it.
Andy, that show was terrible too.
That is 100% correct. And I loved every minute of it. What could be better? A show where the only stakes were, would she be successful at throwing a party? It circles back around to genius.
But like you compare that with like the stakes of that same time in the age of innocence to the Gilded Age.
Yeah.
It's just it's terrible.
Exactly.
And I think some of the problem is the way that Carrie Coon like has her accent
but I love that too. I love Carrie Coon. I love her stupid accent. I love everything about it. The show is ludicrous. It's a parade of Broadway people. Douglas Hills with that ludicrous French accent that I was like, "Sir, what are you doing?" Yes, I loved every second of it. Thank you.
Who plays Carrie Coon's husband? What's his name?
Some hot guy with a beard.
Not Oscar Isaac.
No,
but it looks like him.
Dollar Store Oscar Isaac, very hot. That's not a knock against him. And then him like also like loving his wife and not cheating on her. That was the good part of that.
That was hot. I thought that was really great. I was like, for sure he's going to cheat on Slutty Maid. There's always a Slutty Maid. And I was real mad about it because I was like, did we have to go the Slutty Maid route? but then they didn't, and I was
Yeah.
psyched.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
was like, put this titties away. I don't want your titties. Get out of here.
Yeah.
It was great.
Audra fucking McDonald.
I know.
Come
Yeah.
on, guys.
That was
There's
good
no.
too.
I just love it. I was like, the next time a Broadway person just walked on, and I started screaming every time. I loved it so much. When's it coming back?
I don't know.
So what you're waiting for is them to break out into song at any moment because it's
Yes.
like camp at this point.
Yeah.
For me, total camp. And they filmed that actually like 15 minutes from my house. They built a whole soundstage, the outdoor backlot of the street.
Oh, cool.
Bitch, I live in Newport, Rhode Island. What are you talking about? A sound stage?
They built, so they filmed the Newport scenes in Newport, but anything that's supposed to be Manhattan is actually filmed like 15 minutes from my house in Bethpage. Like they built a whole, like, you can go. My friends went. They were like, you should come with us. And I was like, I want to, but I couldn't
But
go
does
the day
that
they
fuck
went.
up your ability to park when you go to play tennis? No. This is
No.
also why I hate this show. They take
Mhm.
up
Well.
too much real estate.
All right.
But if any of the people that are on set just want to come and hang out, come on over.
You mean like crew and stuff, not Carrie Coon?
I don't want to hang out with her. But who's the cute little blonde lady that's like the wife of the guy the wife that she's one of the wives.
I don't know, but the worst
She was the
main
horrible
girl.
person in the second Sex in the City movie, and she's
I know
like,
exactly
"You're
who you
not
are.
going to have a baby? What would you do?"
That's Kelly O'Hara,
Yeah.
Broadway star.
Yeah.
Broadway and opera star too. She made her Met.
She come to my house.
Yeah, she made her Met debut. I love her.
Goodness.
Oh,
gracious.
Lachey says I'm a great host. Thank you, Lachey.
She is a great host. Very well appointed guest room.
Oh well, I'm coming.
Shh! My guest room is occupied, so I had to put Lachey on the summer porch.
Oh, that's okay.
I felt like she was a little exposed, and then I felt really bad about it.
That's okay. It's
The
okay.
Scandalous lady with good art.
An old lady. And I do like Christine Baranski.
She's so
job,
good.
Ashley.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Are we doing this again next week?
Yes. Oh, I'm on vacation next week.
Oh,
It's the week of the 4th, but I might be able to.
It is the week of the 4th. Is Outlander airing?
Lachey, it was fine.
of course.
It is airing. I don't know. I don't have anything in.
Why don't we do it in 2 weeks?
Okay.
2 weeks is good.
Oh, wait, no, Lachey can do it next week. Why don't you guys do it with Lachey?
We could.
Okay. Well,
Look at me just telling everybody what they can do. I just won't be here.
okay. We'll figure it out. We'll let you guys know.
I could do
some-
Wednesday
in some
or
way.
Thursday next week. So
Same. All right, you guys. Thanks for joining us for Hangoutlander. I was trying to be as nice as possible.
sorry we veered at the end, guys. We probably, if you look at the viewership.
Yeah, probably.
Oh.
But you know, I still feel like the writers could take just an intro storyboarding class and things would be better. And the editors could do some work too, you know? And then
Well-
the cinematographers could do a few things differently. And each director could like take a blocking class.
Or
A
maybe
lot
just
could
watch-
happen.
There's other good TV shows available to watch.
I'm in the middle of The Bear, season 2,
Yeah.
which is making me very stressed out. So
So
watch
season
that.
2 vastly
So
improve
stressful.
upon season 1 because
What?
how that show is classified as a comedy makes me furious.
No, I cried through a lot of that show.
It's
Yeah.
not a fucking comedy.
No,
No, I
was
don't agree. I
stressed-
agree
I
with
was
that.
stressed to hell in that show.
Thank you.
I'm
laughed-
loving it, and
I
I'm
laughed
also
once.
like, how many more minutes? How many more minutes?
I really kind of want to wait for the whole thing to be done so I can just watch it all at once because I can't take the stress. But
Can I ask a question about The Bear that I asked my friend Andrea? So I used to live in Chicago. I used to work in the neighborhood where their restaurant is set. I don't know of any Italian beef places that are dinner only. Their hours make no sense to me. They start to prep at like noon.
yeah, they should be opening for lunch at the latest.
They should be like, I feel like that's lunch business.
Mm-hmm.
Most
Agreed.
people aren't like, I need an Italian beef at night.
7 p.m. No.
Yeah. That's
Agreed.
what the Wiener Circle is for.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know why it's that way, but I enjoy the frenetic pace of the bear.
Yeah. No,
So there you
just
go.
open earlier. Just start prep at 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they
That
will.
guy's not getting up at 8 a.m.
He's too busy having sex with everybody in the back of the house,
I haven't gotten there yet. What?
I don't know. I don't know if they're doing that. I'm just saying they should be doing it.
Oh, I was
They'll
like,
be fucking each
who?
other. That's what I want to see on that show too.
Oh, Beth, you snarked the writer of that show that got ruined after one season that they ruined their
Yes,
entire show. Sleepy
Sleepy
Hollow.
Hollow.
Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
Stove. He was the producer, right? The executive producer.
Yeah.
He's
a
like the
showrunner.
Matt B. Roberts of
Yes.
that show.
He was a showrunner.
Oh my God. No one should be talking to anyone about what they should be doing in their show after they basically. Oh man, that show was so good. Season 1, so good.
And then they
were
refused
like,
to let them be. Yeah.
no.
That's how I feel about Penny Dreadful too. Like one of those shows that just like they had this beautiful, beautiful ship that was just so clearly the way it was headed. And then there's like, we're just going to kill him. We're just going to kill him and end. And then you're not going to see that. And it was like, all right, fine. Hate it for you. All right. I have to go. My family is freaking out. This was lovely. I love you all. And we'll see you soon. Bye.